Hi everyone, hopefully everyone can hear me and everything's coming okay. Sorry for the delay, slight technical issues, my laptop completely froze before we went live, so hopefully everything is working okay now and we are good to go. First of all, little announcement, my game, as you just saw, is all good and is on its way out on April 11th, and that was the trailer I've been working on this afternoon, or this evening rather. So that's what we're looking at release date wise, and I've got a lot more content coming out this week, including videos and live streams regarding the game. Give a bit of background in behind it, how it's made, and what kind of things I learnt during it. It's all like post-mortem sort of stuff, yeah, so give you a bit of behind the scenes look behind what is required to get the game out and so forth. Anyway, that's that. Now, going into tonight's stream, I'm actually going to give you guys the choice, because I'm in an R-ing where we should go next. So, for example, tonight is supposed to be the continuation of Zombies Ate My Neighbours sort of series, where we trying to remake that game from the Mega Drive and Genesis era. However, I don't know if that's something that you guys want me to continue or not, because here's my argument for it, is that it could be quite long and it may never get done. Would you rather me continue chipping away at that with the realization it may never get done, or would you rather me start a project which is going to be done, is going to be released, and is a lot smaller, something that we can do in a very short amount of time? It's up to you guys. I'll leave you in chat to tell me what you want to see. If you want to carry on with the Zombie Ate My Neighbours, I'm totally fine with that. I can totally continue doing that, and we'll do that tonight. Or we can start something fresh and new, and the goal of making a game that we can actually release down the line, something a lot smaller in scope, that requires not so much as artwork as the Zombie Ate My Neighbours is, because I'm not a great artist and it takes me forever to model things, so making a load of characters and monsters and things like can take a while. So I leave it up to you guys, really. If in chat, let me know what you want to go over and look at. Yeah, I mean, one idea I had was I could do I could try remaking Blob in Unreal, because I didn't make it in Unreal, I made it in Game Maker Studio 2. But we could do another mobile sort of game, or we could do a very short, small itch.io type game. It was only because I was thinking it was something quite small, something a bit more achievable. But it's totally up to you what you want to see, what type of game you want to make. I do want to do a series of videos or live streams where we are making a game from start to finish. But I really want to make sure that we get a finish, if you know what I mean. That's my concern, and I feel like yeah, I'm scared that Zombies Ate My Neighbours won't get done. Not because the coding part of it, but mostly because the art side of it. It's a lot of artwork. And so I'm not the strongest modeler and texturer and animator, but I'll leave it up to you. If you let us know in chat, I see some people in chat on Twitch, and both Twitch and YouTube are saying making it making a different type of game. Do whatever I want. If it's not going to be finished, then yeah, do something else. Maybe something fresh. I mean, what would you start a new project? yeah, we could do. We could start a new project. And what might be quite neat to do is doing a project where you guys get to decide the game design as well. So I'll put some things up to vote as well, and what kind of direction we want to go with. But it will be a lot smaller in scope type game, something that is a lot more achievable. Maybe I haven't got an idea in my head. I've got an idea of a game I started making a long time ago in 2D, but I'd be interested to try and remake it in 3D. It's a little simple mobile game. But I guess you could do it for PC as well. It doesn't really matter. But a simple little game like that, we could try and do. I'll leave it up to you. Something really simple. That's the main thing. Something that we can see the start and end of in a realistic time frame. So it looks like most people are suggesting a new type of game. I won't be doing VR. I have been working in VR stuff. Almost made myself throw up, which was interesting. I had to literally rip the headset off my head because I was about to throw up from. I made a mistake where I accidentally inverted the y-axis. So when I looked down in real life, my character's head looked up. Yeah, instant vomit. I was not. Oh, it was bad. It was bad. Well, it looks like we'll be doing a new game. So, what type of game shall we do? I mean, I'm thinking it'd be something small, okay, something that we can achieve within a realistic time frame. Now we could do a simple like tower defense game, maybe. We could do a little puzzle game. I mean, a tower defense game might not be too bad. We could try doing that. Yeah. What would you guys suggest? What kind of game do you want us to make? What do you want to make together? You tell me, and we'll go through, and I'll try and teach you how to make it. So no. First of all, I'm going to say no RPG, no quest games, nothing like that, because they are long. Yeah, RPG is a killer. It takes way too long. Smash TV. Ooh, that would be fun to do. Maybe a Smash TV sort of variant type thing. Yeah, a load of enemies spawn in, like a twin stick shooter type game. We could do like a twin stick shooter type game. Yeah. Yeah, we could do that. Survival game. A survival game may be a bit too long in the tooth to do. I'll tell you what. We'll do a Smash TV. You got Tetris shooter game, top-down Smash TV, puzzle, 3D. Okay, well we could maybe do a Smash TV type game then. If you don't know what Smash TV is, by the way, it's a top-down twin-stick shooter type arcade game where it was set in sort of like a dystopian future where you're on TV killing a load of dudes. It's like in Black Ops 1, what was it called? Dead Ops, was it called? I don't know. Okay, so you got a lot of people suggesting Smash TV type game. Yeah, alright, we'll do a Smash TV type game then. Okay, so right, so we're going to do a top-down game. So it'll be third-person, top-down. We'll do the third-person template to get started off with. Doesn't really matter because we're going to change a lot of it anyway. We'll call it Smash TV for argument's sake. And click Create Project. And we'll start off with the mannequin. And what I think we'll do is we'll keep it simple. Rather than trying to make loads of different enemy types, there'll be just single types of enemies, like maybe robot. Like little hovering drones, maybe you have to fight with drones as they come into the arena. The arena is typically like a square arena with 4 doors: top, bottom, left, and right. And enemies will drop money, and each in between waves you can spend the money to upgrade stuff. We could do stuff like that. I mean, we could also incorporate things like tower defense type stuff, where you can maybe purchase towers that you can plant down and spawn out the ground. We could do stuff like that. We could do environmental hazards. Could be quite cool. We could try and do that. And if we get around to it, we can also work on adding 2-player to it. Have a second player co-op in it as well. And drones, yep, drones, no animations, saves a lot of work. Yay. I don't mind a little bit of animation, but humanoid animations, no. I'm not an animator. It takes me forever. I can't. It drives me insane. But we can get started with a top-down type game. Okay, so here's a third-person template blueprint. So obviously we're doing top-down, so first of all we're going to change the camera to be top-down. Now, in Smash TV, you typically have like a fixed top-down camera, okay? And that camera is the thing inside the map that stays the same. The player will move around freely. So first of all is that trick of how we're going to do that. So first of all, we don't need a camera on the player character. So we're going to edit that blueprint and remove the camera of that. So let's remove our camera boom and the follow camera. Get started. Next, we've got to work on getting a camera inside our level. Now, what we can do is add a camera to the world. However, what's better is to do a camera actor. So, because we could then do some really cool, interesting, like cinematic type stuff as well. So I'm gonna go new blueprint class and choose actor, and we'll do level camera. And in here, we'll give this camera component, and we'll point it down like so. So I'm going to drag this into the world, and I'm going to set it at 0, 0, 0, and then raise it up. And we could do orthographic or perspective. I think perspective would be interesting to keep. Look a bit more what we want to expect to see. Let's get rid of this junk. We don't need this. Don't need that. Okay, and we are going to slightly change. Let's replace all this geometry actually, and put in some basic geometry like so. And so this is geometry brushes. So geometry brushes are good for blocking out, and that's what I'm doing right now. And we are blocking out the level because it allows us to experiment and play about with code in a safe environment without having to do loads of artwork. So you typically would do blockouts, and when you drag it down, you can see brush settings. You've got X, Y, Z. You can just scale these up to whatever size you need it to be. So we're going to go for an oblong shape because screens are going to be okay. Boss kit. Do I have bad net? I shouldn't do. It's usually alright. There may be some issues because the whole coronavirus quarantine thing. I think they are throttling the internet a little bit. So if you may get some hang-ups, apologise, but there's not much I can do about it. Usually I have fibre, so it shouldn't be too big of an issue. Right, let's have a look at a camera view. Okay, it's not looking too bad. So I can pin this, and I can then manipulate this block here to do my bidding. Like so. Like so. Cool. So when I push play, it doesn't take over the camera. That's because when you go into the camera, you need to tell it to activate this camera from the start. So we've got auto activate on there. We just need to tell the game to auto activate that camera. So we need to make a game mode. So let's go into a third person game mode and open full bloom editor, and on begin play we are going to tell it to possess this camera. not in game mode, sorry, in level blueprint. So open level blueprint, right click, and get that reference there. And to process it and make sure the camera is manager is looking at it, we get the player camera manager, and we can set the view target. Ooh. No, not camera manager. Player controller. Set view target. Like so. So now I've got a character running around in my level here. Okay. Ripper Junkie, hey Ryan, may I ask if you know C++ or ever used it before? If yes, do you ever plan to do a couple of lessons on that regarding, since you teach so well? I have, and I do know, I know it well enough. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I have used it before, yes, and I do plan on doing a couple of lessons in future. But at the moment, no plans as of yet. I'm quite booked out regarding content-wise for the foreseeable future, so no ETA on that one. Right, so we've got a camera running around here. We've got working with WASD. Okay, so the next trick then is to get the shooting bit done. Let's unpin this camera now, we don't need that. In fact, we may actually have to, because it seems quite large, that level. So if I bring that camera in and then scale this down, and then I can move the player character. That's a bit better. Cool. So we're using a level camera and we've attached it to the game through the level blueprint. The next thing we're going to do is put the walls in. Should we do the walls in? Let's do the platforms where they spawn first of all. So I'm just going to put this here. Ideally in the center, but we're just going to guesstimate it for now. We'll work on it later on. With the actual models. Doesn't really matter because we're going to make movable spawn points. So it's roughly in the center. Okay, so that's how they work. Next, we're going to look at getting the character to shoot. So first of all, we need to make a projectile. So make a new actor and projectile. And in this projectile, we're going to give it a static mesh. Actually, no. Should we do static mesh? No, we'll do a sphere collision. And set that to the root. Whenever you're doing a projectile that you're launching from something, you need to have the thing that you want to be handling the physics of it as the root. Because the projectile will be a physics object, you need the physics object collision part being the root, because that's what's going to be detecting hits and so forth. If you have components with other hit stuff on it, like collisions on it, they won't be detected. It's only the root one that's detected, unless you change things. But pretty much by default, all the time, you'll want the root to be the thing that handles the primary collision. Okay, so in my projectile, I'm going to have this, and then I'm going to have a simple particle effect in the middle here. So let's work on a simple particle effect for our projectile. And I'm going to go in here. I mean, you can use Cascade. I'm more familiar with Cascades, and I find it a lot easier for simple stuff. If you're doing more complicated stuff, then yes, Niagara is better for that. But for now, Cascade for this will do just fine. So my spawn, no, not spawn, required. Sorry, in required, we're going to go into here. By the way, if you want to learn how Cascade works in depth, I've got a video on it on the channel. Help yourself to type in Cascade, and you'll find it in my channel. Making a fireball. I'm not going to go over all these settings right now, but for this, we're going to put in a radial gradient. Does these little ball things. We're going to spawn. We'll do 5. And we're going to make it a ribbon. And in the ribbon, we're going to change sheets per trail. I think it's this one we're going to change. So change that to 5. No. Can I remember which one it is? These ones you have to change. Maybe it's this one. If not, we'll do it the old-fashioned way. It's not trail count. So what ribbon does, it joins up all your particles with, like stretches them between each other. So in trail here, particle. Screw it, we do it the old-fashioned way. So we're done with velocity. We'll turn it off and color over life, just so we can see it. Let's change this. This is all temporary. We will be changing this with actual stuff later on. Red, and we'll get rid of that. Right, and in here we'll do particle system, and there it is. Compile, and there we go. Right, so oh no, we didn't finish. Ooh. So on our projectile here, we need to add a projectile movement, and that'll make it a projectile. Over here, we've got to set the speed. So the speed of this we'll set to 1,000. Actually, no, make it a bit harder than that. 1,500. 1,500 in max. We don't want bouncing. Don't want all that. I'm going to turn gravity off. I'm going to make it go down to 0. And click compile. Okay. Next, on our character, we're going to do a shoot key. So let's get rid of some stuff here. Don't need touch input. Get rid of that. And we don't need to reset VR. And that can all stay there. So for now, I'm just going to do left. Actually, let's do it properly. Let's go into project settings and add an input to this. Like a mark, I have used the new Niagara system in Unreal. Yep. It has more features than the Cascade system. The Cascade system's from Unreal 3, if you don't know. They're both fine. But Niagara does have a lot more options, especially when you do more interactive particle stuff. Yeah, so if you want to do more advanced, complicated particle system, you can do it with Niagara. But Cascade's totally fine. I prefer Cascade for quick, simple ones, and use Niagara then for more complicated ones. Remain Henry is asking if I learned UE4 by myself or did I learn with studying. I taught myself. All of Unreal I taught myself. When I was studying games development, Unreal was not even a thing to be used by people outside of Epic. So yeah. So I'm going to add in a shoot action mapping, and we'll do left click and close that. So on our character, we can do the shoot action event, and we're going to spawn actor from class, and we're going to get the projectile. Now the spawn transform is going to be the actor's transform of the player character. So if you just type in actor transform, We can use that and plug that in. Hit compile. Right, so let's see how that works. It might get stuck on the player character. So you can see it spawning. And it's not going too well because it's going... You can see it spawning, going off like that. It's going too fast for the park system. It needs that trail. I need to figure out the trail. Let's do that. So you go type data, ribbon. Delete. I wonder if that will just work because it's moving. Kind of. Just need to increase the speed of it. So the spawn rate required. Let's change the lifetime here. Let's turn it down. No, not down. Turn spawn rate up. Turn back to 20, see if that does anything. Okay. Not too bad. Make it go a bit quicker. So we go into projectile. Let's turn up the speed here. If you want the thing to be shorter, I think that's where you turn down the lifetime. Because remember, ribbon draws a ribbon between each of the particles. So it's a little bit shorter there. Let's go shorter still. And set it to 0.1. Not too happy with this. Remember ribbons being a pain in the butt. Well, first of all, let's turn off. Let's make this a constant color. So at the moment it's doing alpha, so where it disappears over time. So let's turn that to constant 1. It'd be shorter, don't we? Maybe turn down spawn rate. I can never remember which one bloody thing it needs to be changed. Nope. Let's try turning it up. Just experiment with different numbers until we get the right one. So it's smoother, but way too slow. You know what would be better is if we actually just brought in an actual model. Hang on, I think I've got one somewhere. We're going to here. Oh, such a mess. Laser bolt. Okay, so rather than use a particle system, let's just use a static mesh. And we'll call it laser bolt. So whenever you're doing anything in Unreal, by the way, X is forwards. So make sure you make everything face forwards with the X value, like so. And I'm going to go into my material for it. And we'll just make it bright red and emissive. So make that red, multiply it by 5, and plug that into emissive. And hit apply. I can see chat. Yes, Kevin, and yes, I am married. Sorry. I actually need to turn off the particle system. Just get rid of that. There we go. Right, so you can see it where it jutters the player character. So we need to tell it not to affect the player character. So here I'm going to show you something how to do object collision channels. So whenever you have a collision, so let's click on the capsule component here. I'll scroll down to collision. You'll see the collision section, and you'll see collision presets. If you expand that open, you'll see by default it's a type pawn if it's the player character, and you have all these options for whether it should ignore or overlap or block various responses. So what we can actually do here is make our own custom response channels for different things. That helps. It helps us a lot when trying to figure out whether it should be interactive or not. So to do that, we can go into edit, project settings, and to type in channel, and you'll see object channel and trace channels. We want object channels, so I'm going to go new object channel, and we're going to call this one projectile. And the default response for this is going to be block. Okay, and then I'm going to go a new object channel and do this one for enemy, and default response will be block again. And actually no, let's change the enemy to be default block, default to overlap. There we go. And we'll do one more for the player character, player, and we'll call that one block as well. Accept. Okay, so you can make custom channels there. So if I go back to my third person character here, I can click on the capsule component and then go down to collision, and you see them now spawn all at the bottom. So I can then change this to custom, and I can tick what I want it to do. So for projectiles, I want this thing to overlap the projectile. Okay, that means it will not have a collision effect on the projectile. Well, it shouldn't do. Without if I actually go on the projectile itself and tell it to customize the player to overlap as well. Why are you doing this to me? Maybe the static mesh is messing about as well. Do no collision on that. There we go. So we now got collision sorted out with the player's laser pistol. And there you go. Nicholas Bogus, am I okay? Even are you sick? I'm okay. I was sick 2 weeks ago now, I think it was. Yeah, that was a nasty week, but I'm alright now. Thank you for asking. Okay, so we've got it so it shoots on a single click, but let's get it so it shoots a continuous spread. Okay, a continuous stream rather. So on my third person character here, we've got shoot happening like so. So what we're going to do here is break that pressed, and we'll go shoot, and we'll make a custom event for start shooting. And start shooting will go into this, and when we press it, we're going to tell it to start shooting. Okay, and what we'll do actually is break that out and make a timer for this one. So set timer by event. Now the reason why I'm going to do a timer is because as we discussed at the start when we were designing this game, we're going to make it so that when we earn money from killing enemies, we can then spend that money to do upgrades and purchase things. And one of the skills we could purchase is changing the fire rate of the gun. And ARG4, you're not ignored. I'm so sorry. I do see your message. So, am I going to make a Zelda Breath of the Wild climbing system, or do you have plans? I haven't thought about it, no, but it'd be quite a cool one to do. We could investigate that. I don't know how to start that, but I could figure it out in time. So, we'll make another custom event in here. If you've done my shooting series, it is very similar sort of setup here. So, I'm going to fire bullet. And just change that to fire projectile. A bit more accurate to what actually it's doing. And we'll go like so. So start shooting, you can do this event over a time period. And the time period, as I said, would be a variable that we can probably upgrade and change with cache. So variables here, we'll do fire rate. And that'll be a float. Compile it, and you can set the default value of fire rate here to something like 0.5. Something slow at start. We'll plug that in and do fire rate. And it's looping. Then, on stop shooting, do a custom event for stop shooting. We're going to take this return value and promote it to a variable first of all. And this would be firing timer. And drag that out and get, and then clear and invalidate that timer. Okay. And hit compile. Released here has to be stop shooting. So when we let go of the key, it fires this off, which stops the timer. This one starts the timer, and projectile just fires out over time. So when I push play and hold down left click, it will shoot the projectile out. Now, what we'll also do is go into start shoot, move this out of the way, and tell it to fire a projectile at start as well. So fire projectile and hit compile. Okay, so once we've done that, we close that, and there you go. That's firing a projectile every half second. And as I said, you can upgrade, you'll eventually be able to upgrade the fire rate to be a different value. So we can change that to say 0.1, and that will fire every 10 every second. And one other thing we could try and do is also do a spread. So how can we do a spread? Like you could, in the original Smash TV and other games similar to it, you could either pick up or purchase an upgrade, which turns your single line of shot into a spread shot, which would be quite fun to try and do. So on fire projectile here, we could do something to customize this. So fire projectile, we're going to add some parameters to this thing. Why can't we change the parameters? Oh, there you go. I have to have it disconnected first of all. So projectile, we'll do a number of projectiles, and that'll be an integer. Spread angle, and that'll be a float. Compile that and plug that all in. Why is that not compatible? Set timer by event. Why are you not compatible? Weird. Okay. Alright then, let's make a function here. And do it as a function. Projectile. Oh, God's sake. And let's do these things here. Number of projectiles, integer, and spread angle, and make that float. We can even make them have a strength as well. We can go strength and so forth. We can set the default values in here as well. So set default value of number of projectiles to 1, spread angle to 0, strength we'll do value of 1, and there we go. So now if I just cut that and paste that there. Okay, and rather than timer by event, do set timer by function. Will it let me do that? Let's just double check that works still. It's not looping. Why is it not looping? Why is that being so weird? Why is it not liking this? Am I missing something? Why is that being so odd? I've spelled it right, haven't I? Fire projectile. Yeah, okay. Okay, let's do it the other way then. Set timer by event. And do create event. Why is this being so weird? Not letting us have parameters on it. This is the latest version, by the way, 4.2.4, so maybe they've done something different with this. Okay, well what we'll do then is we'll just get rid of all the inputs and make it plain, because it wants it to be plain for some god knows reason. And we'll put it back to set time by function. Maybe they changed something with how that works. And I haven't read up on what they've changed. Don't know why it's being weird. Can't think what they would have changed. Right, back to working normally. How peculiar. Okay, I have to read up on what they've changed in the 4.2.4 patch notes. Okay, in that case, what we'll do is we'll make those down here as the variables on the actual actor. So we do number of projectiles, and we'll do integer, spread angle, and that'll be a float, and finally projectile strength, and that'll be a float as well. And I'm going to make a category up. So on category, if you type in here shooting, you'll see you have a shooting category now appear in your variable list, and that means I can also add other stuff to it. So I can drag fire rate, fire timer, number of projectiles, spread angle, and keep them all nice and organized in my variable list here. Compile this so I can set my default rate for this. So fire rate we'll set back to 0.5, number of projectiles to 1, spread angle to 0, projectile strength to 1. Okay, then we're going back into our fire projectile function, and we'll change number of projectiles to be used here. So we can do a for loop, and it's going to, first index will be 0, last index will be 1, and it'll do that. So now it'll only fire 1. Let's change that. Starting at 1, first index 1. Here, that for loop, actually no, we should leave it at 0. Let's minus 1 away from this. There you go. So now it should do that. So for loop will make one of these. Okay. If the number of projectiles is more than 1, we want it to do a spread. Okay. So the spread angle, actually, let's give it a default value of say 5 degrees. So we need to change the transform here. And by the way, I'm making this up as I go along, so I'm figuring this all out. So yeah, you can just drag and drop them on. Okay, so right, let's figure this out. So my transform here needs to change. So let's get rid of this, and we'll do a make transform, and we'll get actor transform again, but we won't use all of it. Transform being a location, rotation, and scale, so you can split it open by right clicking on splitting. Location is going to change the same, scale is going to change the same, stay the same, sorry, but rotation is going to be slightly different in the or the Z. So in rotation here, I'm going to split this again, and because I'm using the Z here. Rotation here, I'm going to split and just drag in X and Y because they're saying the same. So it's just the Z that we're changing. So, or the Z if you're American. So the Z value is going to come from this index. So this index we're going to multiply by a float. Now the float is going to be the spread angle. So what will happen here is that it will spread from 0 degrees and go to 5 degrees, 10 degrees, 15 degrees. Now there is an inherent problem with that, which we'll show you. So if I change number of projectiles here to say 3, it should do this. Okay, so as you can see, it's firing at, well, always going forwards, but also you can see where it's going just always to the right, never centered. So we need to center it as well. So we have to do a bit of maths for this. So let's first of all just get it firing in the same way as the player. So the same way as the player, we have to add the yaw to the player to this here. So I'm gonna add those two floats together, and that should solve that little issue. Let's just check that out. There we go. So we're now going to work on getting it so it centers the alignment up there. And it's always better to do it mathematically because, again, we can change these stats with skill points later on or purchase upgrades, however you like. So the spread angle here is being multiplied by the index. So, for example, on 3, it's going 5, 10 degrees out. That should be right, yeah. So first one's 0, then 5, then 10, so 10 degrees. So if I take that and then we have to divide it, don't we? So we've got 3. By the way, this is how I work. If you don't know how, if it really annoys you, I'm sorry. This is how I work. I speak aloud. I do it on my own as well when I'm not even live. I also have a little notebook next to me usually, and I do little doodles and diagrams when it comes to maths. So my index here, being multiplied by spread angle here, I just need to divide this by 2. And that'll give me, it should center it for me. And I think that's the maths correct. Let's figure that out. So that is not correct. Not divided by 2 there. It's, we add it onto here. And then, right, no, we have to divide that by 2. No. What am I thinking of? So the first one's 0. The first one's 0. And we want to rotate it to the left, don't we? By 7.5 degrees. Where do we get 7.5 degrees? 7.5 degrees? No, 5 degrees. It'd be half. Right, so we have to get. Okay, so we have to get the number of projectiles. I'm going to drag this up here so I can do the algebra up here. So we have to get number of projectiles multiplied by a float, which is the spread angle. That gives us a total. Then we need to divide that by 2. And then that should give us the angle that we need to use down here. Because if the first one is set to angle 0, number of projectiles is 3 times spread angle. Actually, no, we don't want that. We want to take away 1 away here. There we go. First one is 0 times by... sorry. Number of projectiles is 3 minus 2 times spread angle, 5, so that's 10 degrees. 10 degrees divided by 2 is 5 degrees. I then want to take 5 degrees away from this. Yeah? That makes sense. So minus this nonsense. We'll spread this out. We've got the room. Okay. You could probably shortcut a lot of this as well. We can just do that there. So spread angle times 2 minus that plugged into that. Right, let's see if that works. Yeah, there we go. So that's now centered. And in theory, that should be quite easy to change. So if I change the number of projectiles here to, say, 5, it should still center it, and it should just work. Yeah, look at that. Maths, baby. Would a float from a range populated with a 1 to minus 1 minus work? Don't know. Could do. But then I think you may be locked in, hard coded in then by accident, Mr. McBrightside, sorry. I won't go into changing it, but for now, because we've got this working just fine. But yeah. So there we got our fire bullet projectile done. Okay. So let's just see what it looks like when you upgrade the fire rate. Let's change to 0.1. Yeah, craziness. Okay, but we also want to feed some values to the projectile as well. So, because we have the projectile strength, we need to send over to it. So when we do create projectile, we need to set up a strength on this dude here. So I'm going to call this one projectile strength, and on my projectile this will be a float with a default value of 1. I want this to be editable, and I want to expose it on spawn. And what that allows me to do is in fire bullet projectile, if I change this to none and change it back to projectile, it now gives us projectile strength, which I can now just drag in like so. Instigator, we can put in ourself. Because if we're doing co-op, you may want to give points to whoever you want. And click OK. Right. So, we've got a spread gun going on with WASD movement. Nice. So let's get what's how we doing for time? Oh, it's getting a bit late, isn't it? We may have to wrap it up, I think, because it is getting well late. It's 2 o'clock in the morning for me. My wife's probably wondering where the hell I am. So we'll call it there for a day. If you've just joined us, what we're doing is we're now making Smash TV. Reason being is the Zombie Ate My Neighbours thing may never get finished. This may get finished. And Zombies Ate My Neighbours is not going to get finished probably because of all the artwork it requires. And I'm not an artist. I could do it. It just takes me a long time. So we've done a vote at the start of this stream, and everyone else agrees that we should move on to a different project. So this will be a project we work on throughout the year, and hopefully have it finished and ready for release. And we'll make it procedural, so it just never-ending game with like waves upon waves and upon waves. And as you go, you unlock skill points and purchase things. With a bit of tower defense in there, we'll make it so you can spawn in traps and things like that against enemies, and environmental hazards and so forth. So next time we do this, we'll work on the enemies and get them spawning at these spawn points as waves, and then running towards you, trying to hit you or trying to shoot at you. Okay, so join us next time for that. Next week is going to be what is next weekend? Next weekend is going to be I can't think of the schedule. Case study. So we're doing a case study. So we'll be playing a game live and analysing it and trying to figure out how the developers created various things. And then in the following week after that, we'll try and recreate that. We'll see how that goes. So join us next weekend for the case study. Join us, ask your questions about the game we're going to look at. I don't know what we're going to look at yet. I'm half tempted to look at Animal Crossing because it's such a big hit right now, and I'm started playing it this week, so we may have a look at that. Also, what's coming out is the podcast. So thank you to all our patrons for their support and donating money to me each month. It really helps me out, and as a reward, I said I will start doing a podcast. If you want to give your opinions on what the podcast should be all about, check in my community section on my channel, and you can find the post I made there where people are commenting on what they would like to see from the podcast and what kind of stuff I want to hear about. So have you say there, find out on the community thing, or you can find a Patreon as well. Everyone can answer it. It's totally up to everyone. But look out for that this week as well, starting. And of course, my game Blob is out on April 11th. More content for that is coming out this week as well. Live streams, videos, posts, trailers, all sorts of things will be coming out, advertising it to shit to get it out ready, and hopefully doing quite well with downloads come release day. So without further ado, have a great night everyone, and thank you for your support, and thank you for joining us, and I'll see you all next week for case study. So join us then, and I'll see you all. And don't forget to stay home, stay safe, and look after your loved ones. And I'll see you around next weekend. Bye, guys.